Before going to the details, let me tell you that this is superior aspect, this is inferior aspect, this is right, this is left, and this is anterior, and the other one here is posterior aspect. This is duodenum. And this is pancreas. Now, duodenum is the part of small intestine which is the shortest, widest, and most fixed part. It extends from pylorus. So this is the end of the stomach, pylorus. It ends from pylorus to duodenojejunal flexure, and it is in a form of C, and it surrounds the head of the pancreas. So it is like C, and it is opposite to the vertebra L1, L2, L3. The total length of the duodenum is 10 inch. It has got 4 parts. This is first part, second part, third part, and a small part here, that is fourth part, this part. The first part is around 2 inches long. First part is also called superior part. Second part is called descending part, which is 3 inch long. Third part is horizontal part, that is around 4 inch. And the fourth part or ascending part, that is around 1 inch in length. There are 2 flexures. This is superior duodenal flexure, and this is inferior duodenal flexure. Now let's see about the parts of duodenum. First part extends from the pylorus. This is the cut of the pylorus to superior duodenal flexure. There it is going to continue as the second part. Okay, the second part is open. Anyway, we will discuss about that later. Coming to the first part, relations of first part. Peritoneal relations. The proximal 1 inch is movable. It is attached to lesser omentum above and greater omentum below. The distal 1 inch is fixed. That means the peritoneum is going to cover only on the anterior aspect. This part is retroperitoneal. Visceral relations. Anteriorly, this part is related to quadrate top of liver and also to gallbladder, this region. Posteriorly related to gastroduodenal artery and also portal vein. Superiorly related to epiploic foramen. And inferiorly it is related to head and neck of pancreas. This is the head of the pancreas, and this region is the neck of the pancreas. So it is related to that inferiorly. Second part of duodenum, which is 3 inches long, starts from superior duodenal flexure and ends in inferior duodenal flexure, from where it is going to continue as the third part. Now the relations, peritoneal relations. Second part is retroperitoneal. Visceral relations. Anteriorly it is related to right lobe of liver and also transverse colon. Posteriorly it is related to anterior surface of right kidney, right renal vessels, right psoas major muscle. Medially it is related to head of the pancreas and also bile duct, which lies posterior to head of pancreas. laterally related to right colic flexure. The interior of the duodenum, there are folds inside the duodenum. These are called as plica circularis. These folds starts to appear in the second part of duodenum. There are two papillas that can be seen in this area, major duodenal papillae and minor duodenal papillae. Major duodenal papillae is an elevation which is 8 to 10 centimeter distal to the pylorus. And here hepatopancreatic duct opens onto the summit of the papillae. Another papilla which is seen here is minor duodenal papilla, which is somewhere here in this area. It has been cut, but it's not seen very clearly, but this area. So this is 6 to 8 centimeter distal to pylorus and presents the opening of accessory pancreatic duct. The third part starts from inferior duodenal flexure and it is ending by joining the fourth part, in front of abdominal aorta. So abdominal aorta, my fingers here represents abdominal aorta. So this part is the third part. Relations, peritoneal relations. So this is retroperitoneal and fixed. Visceral relations. Anteriorly it is related to superior mesenteric vessels. So this is superior mesenteric vein and this is superior mesenteric artery. So both are related anteriorly. Posteriorly related to right ureter, right testicular or ovarian vessels posteriorly, and also abdominal aorta. So I already said that abdominal aorta is coming like this. So abdominal aorta is also related. Superiorly related to head of the pancreas and also related to a process from the head of the pancreas, uncinate process. This is uncinate process, this area. This is head of the pancreas. Inferiorly related to coils of jejunum. Now the last part, that is fourth part. Fourth part is 1 inch long, it's very small. This is the fourth part and my finger here represents abdominal aorta. So this part lies to the left side of aorta and it ends at duodenojejunal flexure. So this point is this point here, this one, this flexure can be seen here, this one, here you can see very clearly. So this part is the duodenojejunal flexure. So it ends duodenojejunal flexure and it is going to continue as the jejunum. So it's continuing as the jejunum, right? So this is the duodenojejunal flexure, this point. So now this forceps represents the aorta. So this part, small part, is the fourth part. Now relations, peritoneal relation, it is mostly retroperitoneal, but at the terminal part it is attached to the mesentery, so it is mobile. Now visceral relations, anteriorly related to transverse colon, transverse mesocolon, lesser sac and also stomach. Posteriorly related to left sympathetic chain, left renal vessels and also inferior mesenteric vein. To the right it is related to the right side is related to the root of the mesentery, and to the left side, left kidney is related, and superiorly related to body of the pancreas. So this one is body of the pancreas, so it is related to body of the pancreas. Now there is a ligament which is related to the duodenum, that is suspensory muscle of duodenum or ligament of Treitz. So it's a fibromuscular band that supports duodenojejunal flexure. So it is attached to the duodenojejunal flexure posteriorly and also to the third and the fourth part of duodenum posteriorly. This band passes behind the pancreas and gets attached to the right crus of diaphragm. It is made of striped muscle in the upper part, elastic fibers in the middle part, and plain fibers in the lower part. Normally, its contraction will increase the duodenojejunal flexure, will increase the angle of duodenojejunal flexure so that the movements of the food from duodenum to jejunum is easily possible. But sometimes, if it is attached only to the duodenojejunal flexure, its contraction leads to obstruction. Usually this won't happen because it is attached not only to the flexure, it is also attached to the third and the fourth part. The third and the fourth part. So its contraction will increase the angle of duodenojejunal flexure so that the food can pass easily. But if it is attached only to this area, its pull may cause obstruction to the duodenum. Arterial supply of duodenum. Duodenum is partly derived from foregut and partly from midgut. So the junction of foregut and midgut is represented by the major duodenal papillae. So the part above it is supplied by superior pancreaticoduodenal artery, which is a branch of celiac trunk, and celiac trunk is the artery of foregut. Below this area, supplied by inferior pancreaticoduodenal artery, which is a branch of superior mesenteric artery, and superior mesenteric artery is the artery of midgut. In addition to that, the first part is again getting some blood supply from right gastric artery and also supraduodenal artery of Wilkie. Venous drainage, it is to splenic, superior mesenteric and portal veins. Lymphatic drainage is to pancreatico-duodenal lymph nodes, which is present between the pancreas and the duodenum, this area. From here, lymph goes to hepatic nodes and ultimately to celiac lymph nodes. Nerve supply, sympathetic supply is from T9 and T10 segments, and parasympathetic is through vagus. Coming to clinical anatomy, in radiograph after taking a barium meal, first part looks like a triangular shadow which is called duodenal cap. There are two reasons for duodenal cap. The first reason is, as I said before, the circular folds are absent in the first part of duodenum, and the second reason is the first part of duodenum always push into the pylorus. So because of these two reasons, there are duodenal cap. And the second important clinical aspect is this site is an area for peptic ulcer because it has a direct exposure of acidic contents that is reaching from stomach to the first part of duodenum.